Hey guys, David from Epoxy Emporium. Welcome back to our beginner series videos. Sorry we've been away for so long, but we've been hard at work improving our products and improving our experience for you, our customers and our followers. Welcome to our new YouTube studio. We value each and every one of you, and we'll be hosting a giveaway at the end of this video to show our love for you, our supporters. I'll be leaving a few clues along the way during my tutorial today, so watch the whole video so you'll be able to enter at the end of the video. In our first video, I showed you guys how to build a chopping board. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to finish them with two different finishes. This board, I sanded up to 240 grit and finished it with Osmo Polyets. With this board over here, this is a high gloss finish, flood coat, that I used Epoxy Emporium surface cast epoxy to achieve this. It's a bit of a difficult finish to achieve, but I will show you how to in the videos. Alright guys, so if you enter the competition, this is what you stand a chance of winning. We have a 6 kg epoxy casting resin. We've got a reusable mould, a piece of olive wood, and then any of the colors that you see behind me. In order to enter the competition, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The instructions on how to win this kit are in the YouTube video, and you can find the link for the YouTube video below. Have fun, enjoy, good luck.
I'm starting with a board that I'm going to flood coat later, and even though I'm going to do a resin flood coat over this board, I'm still going to sand it. I won't sand it all the way up to a very high grit like the previous board, but scuffing up the board allows the resin to cling better to the surface. Don't worry about any scratches caused by the sandpaper. Epoxy is self-homogeneous, and once you pour it over the board, you won't see a thing. When sanding, don't put too much pressure on your sander. You should push your sander down slightly to the front, but allow the machine to do the work. Applying too much pressure on your machine causes uneven divots in your finish. You can see that when I sand, I use a technique called cross-hashing. Cross-hashing essentially means following one line horizontally across the board, and you can see the line created by the sander. I'm just going to touch the edge of that line and create a new line. I'm going to repeat that process until the whole board is scuffed. And then I'm going to repeat that process vertically. You should do at least 2 passes horizontally and vertically per grit. The most important part of sanding is the beginning with the lower grits, so you may need to do 3 or 4 passes with these grits, depending on the condition of your board starting out. When changing your sanding pads, make sure they are nice and snug, and that there is no part of the sanding machine exposed. Our students often ask us about what machinery to use. Machinery definitely affects the end product of whatever you are making. But when you are starting out, don't be too focused on those things. Focus on your technique and the best practices to follow. I do highly recommend a vacuum cleaner, no matter which sanding machine or brand you use. A vacuum cleaner 100% affects the way your board will look at the end. When you do not use a vacuum, dust collects between the sandpaper and the substrate, and you end up with swirl marks and pigtails. I'm switching over to our other board here, and we'll be doing a satin finish on this one. As you can see, I've laid out 4 different grit sandpapers that I'm going to be using. Starting from 80 grit, I'm moving up to 120 grit, then 180 grit, and finally up to 240 grit. Once you get to 120 grit, you can start spraying water on your board and wiping the dust off. This just helps to prevent any dust forming clumps and causing swirls. After each time I'm done with the grit here, I'm spraying my board and wiping it down. Now that I've sanded this board down to 240 grit and wiped it clean, it's time to apply our Osmo 2K wood oil. You don't need much of this, it really goes a long way. This oil comes in a 2-pot system, and you can follow the mixing instructions on the tin. Once you've mixed up your oil nicely, you're going to apply. Osmo comes with an applicator, but you can also use a Scotch-Brite pad or a sponge for this. Dip your applicator into the oil and spread it across the entire board evenly, and make sure you get the sides too. I've applied my oil evenly, and now I'm taking a microfiber cloth and I'm wiping any excess off the surface, slowly working the oil into the board. The 2K wood oil is a deep penetrating oil, so it really gets under the surface and protects your boards, while providing a really nice satin finish. As you can see here, it looks beautiful. We've now brought our other board into our pouring room for the flood coat. Dust is really the enemy with top coat finishes, so you need to do this in an area that you can seal off, away from animal hair, dust, and any loose debris in the air. Your resin really will catch absolutely anything in the air, and you'll be really frustrated. You have to prepare correctly when doing a flood coat pour. Before you even think about mixing resin, put down some plastic sheets under whatever surface you are using to work on. Next, you'll need something to mount your board on. If you leave it on a flat surface, the resin will stick to the surface it is on and your board will be a disaster. You need to position your mounting sticks in the middle of your board and not touching the edges. I recommend using HDPE. Here I'm using HDPE strips, as the plastic does not stick to the resin. Once you have mounted your board up, you need to make sure that it is absolutely 100% level. Use your spirit level and make sure you are level on all sides. Failing to do this will result in the resin not being evenly distributed over the top. You'll need 2 small foam rollers and some tongue depressors, or colloquially called ice cream sticks. You'll need either a small blowtorch or some denatured alcohol to help with bubble release. Please do not use the blowtorch after using the denatured alcohol. It is highly flammable. Now that my board is level and I have prepped properly, I'm ready to mix my resin. For this board, I told you guys that I was doing something pretty cool. And here I'm adding glow-in-the-dark pigment to my resin. Always mix your resin for a minimum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 5 minutes. Use a timer or a stopwatch. Make sure you go up and down and all around the sides. Get right into the bottom and mix thoroughly. Now that I'm done mixing, I'm ready to pour my resin, and you're going to just throw the resin right on top of the board. Spread it out evenly with your roller and make sure you roll the sides as well. You want a nice even coat at first to break the surface tension on your board. Once you've done a coat, go ahead and pour more resin down until you see it dripping from the sides. At this point, you can leave the resin to start reacting. Depending on the temperature in the room, the resin will start to react in about an hour or 2. You'll see it start to gradually change from a liquid to a more sticky or tacky substance. When your resin starts to go tackier, you need to be hands-on and pay attention. You want to spray your denatured alcohol over the top. This will disperse bubbles and help your resin to remain workable. Do not overdo it. You can scoop up some of your resin that has dripped down and fill any marks or holes you see. Do not do this once the resin starts to get quite thick. The resin is starting to become more gummy now, and I'm going to start scraping the bottom all along each side. or I'm going to end up with big raindrops under my board. You can see how sticky the resin has gotten, and now at this stage I'm going to use a blowtorch to get rid of any peripheral bubbles. Only do this at least 30 minutes after your last spray with denatured alcohol. You can see the resin is getting really tacky, almost like glue at this stage. We're almost done. You just want to keep scraping the bottom along the sides every 10 minutes or so until the resin is set, and you are not getting any more drips running off the sides. I mentioned we'll be running a competition at the end of this video. To enter, you must be subscribed to our YouTube channel. Once you've subscribed, leave a comment below this video and give us a suggestion of what video you'd like us to make of something you'd like to learn the most. Think of anything with epoxy and we'll make it. We'll do a random draw with each person that enters, and the winner will win a beginner's kit to practice with. I hope you enjoyed this video and good luck with the competition.